Hey guys, welcome to What the F. Here we are kicking off season 6. And I am just so grateful for all your support, listening, tuning in, your DMs, your emails. Every time I hear from one of you how much this podcast has helped you or made you feel seen, it is literally the fuel that keeps this going. The podcast goal is to create a touchstone for adulting with epilepsy because, as we know, it's not very easy. And a lot of the conversations that need to happen don't happen in the doctor's office. Like, how do I do work with epilepsy? How do I date with epilepsy? What about all these crazy med side effects that we're dealing with, and how do I handle them? So I really hope that this is just continuing to resonate with all of you and also provide a little bit of a laugh, because I don't know about you, but laughter is my favorite coping mechanism. We are kicking off season 6, which every time I say it, I can't believe we're here, season 6, with a topic that we haven't covered yet on the podcast. So talked a lot about bullying in the workplace and what that looks like and dealing with that. And if you haven't listened to those episodes and would like to, the link for those are in the podcast or the episode description for today. But now we're going to talk about what bullying is like as a kid. And it's something that I know a lot of people with epilepsy have dealt with, are continuing to deal with. And we have a guest today who has come on to not only share their story, but also talk about like what we can do. How can we change this? How do we create safer schools for our kids? So I hope this episode, makes you feel seen, helps educate you, and also, gives you a little chuckle, because that's the goal. Before we get started, I want to thank our community partner, Epilepsy Foundation of America, and sponsors Reyes and SK Life Science. Thank you so much for believing in this podcast, for making conversations like this possible, and giving us a space to talk about our epilepsy what the F moments. Okay, here we go. My guest today is Anna Rasque. She is the community outreach specialist. For some reason, I just keep stumbling over at the Epilepsy Foundation of Wisconsin. And if anyone knows that the community needs some outreach, it is Anna. Anna, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, of course. I'm so excited to be here finally.
I know. We've been talking about doing this for almost a year.
Too long.
Yes, too long. And I just feel like I really am excited to just share your story. And I appreciate you coming out here to talk about bullying for having epilepsy in high school, which is still something I have trouble wrapping my head around because I didn't have epilepsy in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But then so when I hear about this, I'm like, this is insane. But it happens frequently. As you know, you're like, I know, you're just telling me my story to me. And I just want to talk about like what that was like for you, what we can do to kind of like to create change about this, and and where you are now. So And I just want to say again, like, I'll meet you at your comfort level because this could be painful to talk about. But like, what does bullying look like in high school with epilepsy? Like, I sound so naive and ignorant. I just can't even wrap my head around it, though.
Yeah, I mean, so I was diagnosed when I was in 8th grade. So 8th grade is kind of when it all started, and but it didn't really, the bullying and stuff didn't really, unfortunately, start to like high school. And that's you're with all the upperclassmen and other people who don't understand, and when you're having seizures in school in front of people, and it created this whole, the words can't even explain how it all, like a snowball effect. It started with one thing, which was my first day of high school, my freshman year. I was having seizures, first day of school.
Your first day of freshman year. Oh my God.
Was in the nurse's office having seizures.
Oh.
They gave me my emergency medication where I was waiting to get picked up. But while we were waiting to get picked up, a fire alarm went off.
No.
So I had to get wheelchaired out in front of the whole entire school and had to like lay down in the grass, like in front of everybody during this fire drill. So that is what from there on out set the mood for my high school career. So
like my 14-year-old self just had a panic attack. I can't even imagine.
It was, and if it hadn't been for me being on my emergency medication, I probably would have been panicking a little bit more. But that definitely is where like the start of it. And like I had my couple like close friends who knew that I had epilepsy and knew about it already, but it didn't to the extent of, again, being in front of the whole entire school and staff. So that was where it all started. And I became the twitchy girl and all the others, a whole slew of names that came to follow. But
the twitchy girl.
Oh yeah, because I was twitchy because I had my seizures, so I was that was the biggest one. Twitchy is what a lot of people call me a lot. Which
dear God.
Which now in in my adulthood, like I take that because I still even as an adult get people say that to me, like, or if people say like, oh, you throw fits, like, and I still deal with that all the time, and I'm sure you've heard that still.
Yeah.
So
some people never grow up, apparently. Yeah. No, never. So it started. So I just can't get over that first day of freshman year. Because like I remember my first day of freshman year, and I got lost and like wanted to die. Right? Okay, because I was lost in high school. So that just put everything of my getting lost into perspective. But like, how did that manifest? Like, because I just can't. Like, I hear like twitchy, but like, what do people? How does that look? Like, what did they say, or what do they do, or what does that experience feel like?
So it wasn't even just like the name calling. It was also like on top, like there would be people that would come up. Like I'm thankful that like lights and stuff aren't my triggers for my seizures, but stress is one of them. So that's one of the reasons again why they were first day of school right off the bat. But I would have people come up. They'd put like strobe lights in front of my face, or they try to put like optical illusions in front of my face. Like there were people that were very, Yep, it makes you mad. It makes me mad thinking about it still. Like I've put that it's all in the past, and I've definitely forgiven these people because they're kids, and kids can be kids, and they can be assholes. Kids can be assholes.
Yeah, it's okay. I used to teach high school English, and like I loved teaching high schoolers because you could forgive so much of what they did, to me anyway. Like I could forgive that because I was like, whatever, you're being rude to me. I don't care. You're 15.
Right.
You know? But this is
it was different. It was definitely like something that was harder. And like my youth, definitely like all throughout, because it's something I dealt with pretty much until my senior year, when I finally started to like stand up for myself and advocating for myself, and getting more involved with the Epilepsy Foundation. Like I had volunteered with them since I was diagnosed, but I didn't start actually like, okay, it's Epilepsy Awareness Month. I'm going to have a bake sale and I'm going to do Purple Day. And so I started to try to do more awareness stuff, and again, speaking up and standing up for myself about it, because people who don't understand, like they don't get it, and it's still a problem today. Like, you know, people who don't have epilepsy and don't have seizures and don't know what it's like, and as someone with it's hard to explain to other people who don't understand that. So
yeah, especially like in your adolescent years when it's hard to explain anything that's going on. What did it feel like? Like what did that bullying result in for you, like emotionally, and like as far as how you felt about your epilepsy?
Those first like couple years after my diagnosis was already a struggle, because I was struggling with, oh my God, I have epilepsy now. My first seizure, I pretty much died on my bathroom floor. Like it was a lot all at once. And the year before I had heart problems, so I had to have heart surgery. So it was just so much stuff at once. So I was already trying to cope with being 13 and dealing with all these medical issues, and then having to go into school and then deal with all of that on top of it. And we all know depression goes hand in hand with epilepsy. And I definitely throughout all high school struggled with, on top of the depression and stuff from being bullied and all of that, and my diagnosis, on top of the medications, because every medication, I was on so many different ones growing up, trying to find the right one for me.
Cocktail.
The right cocktail of pills. Yeah. But, so it was definitely a struggle. Like, you know, suicidal thoughts come hand in hand with that too. And it's, people would belittle you, and they make you feel so small. They make you feel so small about something that you literally can't control. Like I can't help it that my brain is the way it is, you know, and it was a struggle, and I still struggle with it. Like I said, like there's still times that people make jokes, like, and don't get me wrong, like I make jokes about my epilepsy and stuff too, because you gotta joke about it to keep it, you know,
100%,
not let it.
It's the best coping mechanism, in my opinion.
Best coping mechanism. So it was just, I had therapy. Like I had my couple close friends that obviously I could confide in, and they were there for me through all of it. But it's still, everything else overshadowed so hard. Like there would be points where I would be eating lunch in the nurse's office because I just could not handle being around people. And like I said, they'd come up all the time in commons and lunch. They'd flash stuff in my face. Like and it was just the teachers too. The teachers were a big problem for me, because a lot of my teachers didn't understand my epilepsy. They didn't understand it, and they treated me differently because of it. Not all of them, but
What do you mean when you say they? Because this is just appalling. Kids you can excuse, adults you cannot.
So for instance, for that, one of my gym teachers pretty much told my nurse and my mom that I was faking my seizures to get out of gym. Like, as I would be sitting on the gym floor having my myoclonic twitches, see, yeah, jerks, myoclonic jerks, whatever.
That's all.
But I'd be sitting there having my myoclonics and stuff, and I take my emergency medication, and I would have to go to like the nurse's office, and she's just so she can get out of gym. She just doesn't want to run the mile. She just doesn't want to do this. He held me back in freshman phy ed until my senior year of high school. My mom and we all had to go have a meeting with the school nurse, my mom, my counselor, everybody. My mom's like, she's not doing freshman phy ed as a senior. And I got to like do it outside of that, but I missed so much school. Like, not only like with the gym, like there was, again, in another instance, one of my biology teachers, and this is stuff, it's just so deep. I will never forget it in my head. And like I said, I've forgiven these people and I've moved on from it. But like, so when you miss X amount of time for school, you get that amount of time to make stuff up, right? So I was in the hospital for like a week and a half doing a sleep study, EEG, the whole shebang. And when I got back, that teacher only gave me like 3 days to complete everything that I had missed in almost those 2 weeks when I was gone. What? And I did it because I was a great student and I got it together. But I always wanted to prove myself to all these people who doubted me and all these people who didn't think I'd be able to and didn't give me the opportunities to actually like, hey, you know what? You missed a week? Here's a week. Okay, well, fine. I'll do it in 3 days. If you don't want to do it to me, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to just give up and sit and cower. So I definitely had moments where it also empowered me, but the balance between the two, the good and the bad definitely started to outweigh the good a lot more, which again really made it hard and struggled to people talking to people, talking about it. I wasn't very open about it for years. And then when I was finally open about it, it opened up this whole new like chapter, if you will, like especially my senior year. My senior year was really big because we did a really big, again, for Epilepsy Awareness Month, we did like a purple day, and it's still one of my favorite pictures from all my friends in my choir, specifically in my choir. It was in the choir room. A bunch of us in our choir, they're all wearing purple for me, and it's like, it puts it in perspective that like, all these years I went through all this negative stuff and all these people who didn't understand and did everything they could to like drag me down and get to me. And it did get to me. Don't get me wrong. It definitely did. I had days. But in the end, like, it's like, I still look at that picture, still have it on my phone because I look at it and I'm like, you know what? Even though I had to deal with these shitty, awful people who did these things to me, I had such a great support system outside of that too. And I didn't really realize that again until like that senior year because I was so blinded and so like focused on all the negative that I couldn't see the positive and stuff. So Totally. That was a big, and also my senior year, we finally found a medication that finally worked for me. And I got my seizures in check. Kind of. I was going about 3 months without having a seizure, and then the whole, your license thing. That's such a huge thing that I also dealt with because obviously with my seizures I couldn't drive, and that's a whole another thing is having to sit back and watch your friends drive and go off and do things, and you can't be involved or you can't go, and you have to ask people for rides, and then it makes you feel depressed and it makes you feel helpless and like you're needy, and when you're that age, like you don't want to feel that way.
Well, yeah, because it just kind of magnifies all the negative things that the other people are putting on you, right?
Absolutely.
Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I can't be independent. I can't drive. And then like it just kind of piles on. I'm a burden.
Yep.
No one wants to deal with me. Maybe I'll just stay home. All that stuff just it just starts pouring in.
It's like a snowball.
Yeah.
It keeps going and
it
doesn't stop. So.
Yeah. So okay, you mentioned the support system that you had. Like what can you tell me about, like, was it people, was it other instances? Like what was it that kind of like helped you get through that, you feel like?
Definitely. So therapy was a great help for me. I know that's not a thing for everybody, and that's more than okay. But that for me was a very big help. Specifically, the therapist that I went to saw, she specialized in people with who needed therapy with their medical issues, like coping with diagnoses and stuff like that.
That is huge.
She was awesome.
I just want to pause because finding a therapist that specializes in illness or chronic illness is a huge thing that I think I know it also changed my life. You know, and I think sometimes like I've been doing therapy. I've been in the therapy game a long time, and I had great people that I worked with. But once I found someone that understood epilepsy, it was a game changer. So I'm really glad you had that at such a young age.
Yeah, it was definitely soup because like again, I have with the depression, everything, came all hand in hand with the epilepsy. So it wasn't even, oh, I need therapy just to cope with my diagnosis. I also needed therapy to cope with, again, the bullies and the diagnosis and other life stuff. Like it was just so much at once. And I also have to be careful about that because my triggers for my seizures are stress and sleep deprivation. So it was a process, and it was actually kind of hard for that. So after I turned 18, she was actually a specialist for just youth. Like, so I had to transfer, so I couldn't continue seeing her after I turned 18, which sucked, but she was great. Like, she was wonderful, and I did find someone else, which was awesome. But outside of that, like my friend group, we were very close. Like my friend group that I ended up, I felt very misplaced the first couple of years. Like I had my couple like really close best friends. Like I had my besties. They were my ride or dies, but then senior year I started getting more involved, like doing like the musicals and doing more like activities and stuff, because I used to do sports and stuff when middle school. I know middle school sports are different than high school, but once as my seizures started, I just could not handle it. I couldn't, and I had to quit doing everything that I love to do. So on top of it, it was just a lot all at once, and
what do you think was the catalyst? Because you had said before, you're like, you know, once I started talking about it and kind of like, you know, doing the Purple Day, doing Epilepsy Awareness Month, all those things, where did you find that bravery and that courage? And like, I love how you said too, like, I finally started talking about it. I was like, girl, you're only 4 years in, like that, you know. But when we hit that turning point, when we stop hiding it as much as we can and start talking about it, it is a huge game changer.
So not this, I don't condone violence. I don't condone any of that.
I can't wait to hear what's coming now.
So there was this boy who picked on me a lot throughout, and there was, and I'll never forget this day. He got in my face one day and started shining this light in my face. We were waiting for the buses after school because I had to take the bus home because I lived in the middle of nowhere. And he was, you twitchy girl, and, you know, flashing him. And I pushed him. I shoved him super hard. And I was like, stop fucking calling me that. Stop it. And then that was kind of my like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. This is it. I'm more than just a person with epilepsy. I'm more than just someone that has seizures. I am a person. I have feelings. And that was like the big turning point for me. Given though, again, through that senior year, I still struggled with stuff. But it was definitely a lot. That moment was just kind of that clicking, that switch flipped, and I was done. This is what I do. This is who I am. It can't be changed, so I might as well just embrace it, you know?
Okay, so I don't condone violence either, but that story gave me chills. Like, I was like, that's awesome. Like, who doesn't want to push their bully?
Oh, right.
You know?
And, you know, and then, like I said, like, it's, again, like, yeah, I don't condone, but, like, sometimes. I
mean,
when push comes to shove.
Yeah, literally. I love it. Did he ever bother you again?
No.
Oh, God, I love this story so much.
No, and that was like a thing too, like senior after that instance, because people saw that, people were there for that. Like, so we were out in the courtyard, like, and I started, you know, and I, again, was making more friends and stuff the more I started to do extracurricular stuff and expanding my group. And so I had my safe people they always had my back, and I'm forever thankful for them. Still friends with them to this day.
And so that you said that was kind of the catalyst for it. But then how did you say, okay, now I'm going to do a bake sale for Epilepsy Awareness Month, or I'm going to start, you know, like the chorus wearing
purple.
Wearing purple. Thank you. It also gave me chills. I just love that story. Yeah. So where did that all come from?
So that was literally, I just went to our like principal and stuff and was like, hey, because we do stuff schools, we do stuff, fundraising events throughout the year through everything. Mm-hmm. So I figured, why not? What's a hurt to ask? What's a hurt to ask? If they say no, they say no. If they say yes, awesome. So we did like over the announcements and stuff, because, you know, schools have their morning announcements. So the month of like the week leading up to the day that we did it, there was, I can't remember what specific day it was in November, but we picked a day for Purple Day. For Epilepsy Awareness Month. So they like did announcements about it. They sent out memos to like all the morning meetings. So like all the teachers that had like the advisories of morning meetings and stuff. So that was the only year that I did it, but I did it and it was great. Like, I have So I have, that picture I was saying, like with their choir, but then there's also another one in the Commons, and I'm like in point five, what would have been point five, but holding my, and then I have a huge group of people around me, and it's like that really like got me through a lot, like having those extra like people that over the years that I again became friends with. And it was hard because people who were my friends that graduated before me, and I lost them, so it's like losing them, but then I also gained some back from, so it all came full circle in a way. Especially now considering where I'm at now with everything. But
and where are you at now with everything?
I'm a year and 9 months seizure free.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
So,
that is so huge.
Year and 9 months seizure free. And I have been now working with the Epilepsy Foundation of Wisconsin for a year and like 4 months now. So I've been volunteering with the foundation since I was diagnosed, doing like the walks to end epilepsy, just being involved. I did Teen Speak Up in high school as well. That was another, I totally forgot to mention that before, but that was a huge turning point for me too. So that's our, I don't know if you're familiar with the Kids Speak Out
I am,
program.
but remind me.
So they select kiddos from every state to go to DC, and we talk with like our state senators and representatives about like epilepsy laws and just epilepsy awareness and stuff in general. It was such a wonderful experience for me because meeting other people in the town that I lived in, it's a small town. I didn't know anybody in school else that had epilepsy, that had seizures. I was the only one as far as I knew. So going to there and meeting 50 plus other kids who have epilepsy, it was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And I'm still really good friends with a lot of these people to this day, still friends, really close with. So the Epilepsy Foundation brought that into my life. So if it hadn't been for me getting involved with the Epilepsy Foundation, I wouldn't have done that. Or our youth camp, Camp Phoenix and Rasque, we have every summer. That was another, just being able to go for a week and be yourself and be surrounded by people who understand in a safe environment that you can do things you can't do at home. Like you can't go on do high ropes, awesome adventure course. Like there's so much fun stuff that's to do there, and it's safe, and it's just, there was a lot of opportunities that the Epilepsy Foundation gave to me that if it hadn't been for that, I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today, or let alone how it's come full circle and now be able to work with them and do stuff like this and to give back to the community and be on the other side of it. Because I know how much the foundation did for me when I was a kid. So now being that for other kiddos and adults and clients has been so rewarding, especially like a camp, for instance. We just had our youth camp last month, and it was so fun. Like I got to stay in the cabin with the girls last year. I didn't do it, but they all begged me, like, come stay in the cabin with us, please, this year. So
you're the cool one. That's amazing.
So I did a background check. We did the background check, did everything. I stayed in the cabin with these girls, and it was so talking about bullying and stuff. Like I nitpick their little brains because I'm curious, because that's And we were talking about I was like, well, do you guys what do you guys deal with? Because the generation now is a lot different than my generation, like social media and phones and all of that. Like it's very different. And it's my favoriteest thing now too. Like I will never forget this little girl when she said this, because I'm going to use it for the rest of my life. But she was talking about this one boy who bullied her really, really bad in school. And she got him to stop because she goes, well, at least my epilepsy is evidence that I have a brain. So where's yours? I could not stop laughing for 10 minutes. I'm like, that is genius. I wish I had thought about that, because
brilliant. I hope everyone hears this and steals it.
I tell everybody about it now that has seizures, because I'm like, that is genius.
Yes.
From a little 12-year-old, I'm like, I wish I would have been that witty when I was 12.
Oh my God. Well, I'm like, you could even use that in the workforce. This is just like an evergreen statement for all of us. Thank you to that little girl, honey. We appreciate you.
For real.
Yeah. So it is amazing the power of meeting other people with epilepsy and what that does at any age. Yeah. Because it does, like you said, it makes you feel not alone, it makes you feel understood, it makes you feel all of those things. And now you are in a space, like you said, you're providing that for other people. What does your community outreach look like?
I travel, I meet with clients, I meet with people, new people that if I so I run all the social media. So some of our social media stuff, we ask if you're newly diagnosed, if you're whatever the case is. And if I see new people commenting or new people, whatever, I reach out to them and say, hey, we have our seizure first aid programs. We have our camp programs, our youth, our adult retreat. We have our walks. We have all these programs that I don't ever want to overwhelm people with if they're not familiar with it. But we offer all this stuff. And if more people knew about it, the more the merrier, you know, because there's you can't tell us that there's only small, tiny little, these few people that we're involved with right now. Not like a few people. We're involved with a lot of people. But the people we're involved with now is wonderful. But we can 100% expand that. So that's just kind of my goal, is to continue to keep expanding that reach and expanding people so they know what we're about, what we offer, that they're not alone in this and their journey for their epilepsy. Like, there's people, there's resources, we're here. And that's, again, our biggest thing we hone on, and is you're never alone with your epilepsy journey.
I love that. I love that, because it is an incredibly isolating condition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even though sometimes you are physically alone, there's also, you know, just knowing that there's that community out there. There's other people going through what you have been through.
Yep. And that's again, like, when I was first diagnosed, I didn't get involved with the foundation. So those first like 2 years, I didn't have anybody. So that's where like going to camp and TSU was such a big deal, because that was, again, another, like you said, the switch. So the instance with that boy my senior year is what made me switch to stop putting up with the bullying and stop letting people walk all over me and treat me like that. But then also I had that switch from, okay, I'm not alone in this, and I have people I can talk to now, because like my friends were always so great and so supportive, and I love them and I'm so thankful. But it's hard trying to say like, oh my God, I just had the seizure and my body is just, I feel exhausted. And people who don't have seizures don't understand what that feeling is like. So it's hard to relate. So like,
sometimes they'll say like, I get it, I'm exhausted too.
And I'm like, no,
it's a different kind. And you don't want to be a jerk and be like,
because they're trying to be nice and
exactly,
relate, but
right. And you're like, yeah, thank you. You know, like, you know, or you're like, I need to really nap. And it's like not a fun nap.
No.
It's like, I need to go nap.
Yep.
You know, they're like, oh, lucky you. And I'm like, fuck
no,
off.
I would rather not have to nap because of this. Feel that in my soul. So,
okay. So if someone's listening to this podcast and they're going through themselves, or they know someone's going through something similar, or, you know, even what you say to your campers when you're their counselor, what's the advice you give?
Well, for me, like, again, like, you're never alone in your epilepsy journey. You're never alone. You might feel alone. You might feel that isolation at points. Like, I still feel those points, even though I'm, you know I'm not alone, but it still feels like that sometimes. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel these feelings, and just know your feelings are valid, and that it's not going to be easy, but that's what life is. Life is going to throw us challenges and throw us instances like this so we can learn from it and grow from it, as hard as it is in that moment to cope and to like recognize that. And in hindsight, in the long run, it's going to be easier. So just don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever be afraid to speak up and ask for help, because if you don't, there can be consequences. Like, it can really, really damage you mentally, emotionally, and it's hard to take that step to reach out. It's hard to take that first step to say, hey, I'm depressed and I'm dealing with this and I need help. Or, hey, this person's bullying me and I don't want to go talk to a teacher. Go talk to that teacher. Go address it. Don't let it be unannounced and unaddressed, because there's going to be no change if we don't speak up. As hard as it is to speak up, because it can be intimidating. It can be terrifying. It can make your guts just drop, and it can be so hard to want to speak up. But you have to do it, because if you don't, it's not going to get better. And there might even be moments where you do speak up and, you know, tattle on a kid who's pushing you or flashing lights in your face, but screw them. If they want to do that and, you know, they get in trouble and they want to be mad about you getting them in trouble for doing something so insensitive and so inconsiderate, fuck them.
Absolutely.
Like,
fucking-lutely.
And like, you know, at that point in my adulthood, like, I know it's different, like in the youth, and like, I tell my little brother this too, because my little brother, he doesn't have epilepsy or anything, but he's, you know, he has his struggles too. School's hard for him, you know, and it's like, you know, just keep pushing through it. As hard as it is, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you see that light or not, it's there, and it's going to present it. If you don't see it, that's fine, but it will present itself to you, and you'll get to that point. It's taken me years to be able to get to the point where I'm at now, and it took me years to, you know, cope with everything. And then with all the bullies, like I said, I had a lot of resentment for a long time about things and about how people treated me, because if it was unfair.
How could you not? I mean, I'm like a little seething and enraged right now. So
yeah,
I'm like trying to keep it calm. I'm like, oh my
you're
God.
doing great. You're
Well,
doing
thanks.
great. Yeah,
Thanks.
yes. So yeah, it's just.
Well, it sounds like too you were very good about finding your allies. Like you mentioned the nurse's office quite a few times, so it sounds like you had a good nurse.
So Nurse Mindy was the best nurse I ever had. She was the only person that voiced for me. I mean, like obviously my mom and stuff too, but like in the staff aspect, she was the best. I'm forever thankful for her. It was always a safe place in her office, and even outside of my epilepsy bullying, I was bullied for other stuff too because I was, an alternative. I had the colored hair and I was different.
How dare you?
How dare I express myself? I know, how terrible.
Colored hair. Dear sweet Moses.
But I had
Get more creative, guys.
Right, for real. So she was just my safe person, not even for my epilepsy stuff, but for just other stuff like that. And so it was actually super wholesome. So a couple months ago, our program director, Alicia, and I were at the Wisconsin Nurses Conference in Madison. And I was like telling Alicia, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen the Nurse Mindy since I graduated, obviously. And I was like, I wonder if she's going to be here because like, I would just love to thank her for everything she did for me. Yeah. And then I looked up on the website, like on the Merrill website to see if she was still like in the school system, and she wasn't. And I was like, oh no. But then the end of the day, she came up to our booth. She didn't recognize me at first, and I like immediately started crying. I'm like, Mindy? And she looked at me. She's like, oh my God. And then she started crying and I'm crying, and I went behind I'm going to get emotional about it now because I was like able to tell her like literally thank you for being like the only person in that school who was there and understood and didn't give up on me and fought for me. So having even if you don't have any friends, even if you have like one person, one staff member, one friend, one ally, that's all you need. It's all you need. And that was just I have the picture that Alicia took of us on her phone. And I still look at it regularly because it's just like, this is why she does what she did and what I do now. And how it's all come full circle.
So beautiful.
Like, yeah. Like,
what a moment. Yeah. Oh my God.
It was still so, I smile about it so much because it meant so much to me to be able to like finally thank her after all these years. Cause I've been graduated for 8 years now. So I haven't seen or talked to her. And so just being able to see like where I'm at now, like I'm working with the Epilepsy Foundation now and like doing everything. I'm just like, and hearing her say that she's proud of me, like meant so much. Like, those little words like go such a long way. You don't think about it, but when it's people coming from people like that who helped you and impacted and were there for you through the thick and thin of it all, and to hear that, it's just so.
And I like how you said that too. Like focus on the one person because like even if you do reach out, and this again just goes beyond high school. This is just like sometimes you'll reach out to someone and they're not the right person for this particular part of your life. You know,
absolutely,
and kind of like being like okay, and kind of preparing for that too because like, can prepare for that sort of hurt, right? And being like, okay, and it can make you not want to reach out or not want to ask for help from someone else, but just be like, okay, they're not my epilepsy person.
Yep.
You know, they can be a person in a different part of my life, but not my epilepsy.
Absolutely. Yeah. My childhood best friend, her and I, like, again, we're obviously still really close and stuff, but she was my one person. And like, I had multiple people, but she was there for me for like everything, like everything. And like I said, I had other support and it was all great. And I'm very thankful that I had more than one person, but some people unfortunately don't have that. And that's okay. Like I said, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle because you're going to struggle. It's a struggle. Epilepsy is a struggle. And we all know that. Being a parent of a child with epilepsy is a struggle. I've had to watch my mom and I have, obviously being an adult now, I've had a lot of conversations about her as a parent having to see her daughter get bullied, having to see me go through my seizures and all of this stuff and how helpless she felt as a parent. We love our parents and caregivers because without them, you know, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't have what we have. So
yeah. So I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Okay. If you were to like run into someone who bullied you in high school or, you know, if you were to talk to them, what would that look like for you?
So I've had this happen before already. I've had we'll do an instance. So there was this one guy who was not very nice to me, obviously throughout high school, messaged me. This was a couple years ago on Instagram. And it kind of, his message was apologetic, but like half-assed, you know what I mean? And I just left it on read. Like, you know, I didn't respond to it because I don't owe them that. I don't owe these. I can forgive them myself and I can forgive them outside, but I don't need to feed into that. I don't need to, like, I've never run into anybody like face to face really. But
well, I think that's important. I want to pause on that too, because you said I can forgive them. And that's kind of like you're doing yourself a favor by releasing it. Yeah. And it's not so much about how it impacts them as it is about how it impacts you.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm not going to dwell on that for the rest of my life. And don't get me wrong, I do have my moments where it's like,
well, totally. Because forgiveness, I think we like, I don't know, at least I used to go through this where I would think forgiveness was like a thing that happened and then it was done. And then you move on and you never have any feelings about it ever again. Yep. But for me, it's like a cyclical process where it's like, you know, you'll forgive someone and you'll live in this nice state of bliss and, you know, for a while, but then something will come up and you're like, fucking hate that person, blah, blah, you know, like.
And those feelings will always be there. They're never going to go away.
And
like,
that's okay.
Like, again, like talking about stuff. Like, it's not that I'm getting like heated, but it's like, it gets you like having to think about stuff again. It's like, God, like, why did I put myself through that? Why did I let these people do this to me? And just being as an adult now and having that power to say, I'm not going to let you determine how my life is anymore. You're not determining my mental health. Like, you are not someone who's helping in my life in any way. So I don't need that in my life. I don't have the time for it anymore. Like, I appreciate if they reach out. That's great. I hope they're like, if anybody were to ever, like, I hope you're doing great in life. I hope you've grown up and you've realized how much of an asshole you were.
Yeah, but you don't owe, like you said that you don't owe them an answer. Nope, you don't owe anyone anything like that.
And nobody does. Like, if you have people that have done that and have put you through stuff, like, you don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them a message back. You don't. Yeah. I haven't dealt with anybody like in person, thankfully. Besides, okay, so wait, pause. So going back to fun story time. So my senior year, because of my bullying and all that stuff, there was our senior communications class. I had to get up. You have to get up and you have to speak in front of people and talk about stuff, whatever.
Fun.
Hated doing it.
Yeah.
Terrible with it because I didn't like getting up and speaking in front of people who bullied me and people who made fun of me. And like, given some of my friends were in classes, but
so brutal.
I was not very social as I am now and open about talking to stuff as I was in high school. And I actually didn't get to walk for graduation because, long story short, I failed my final. And the last day of school, you're supposed to have until a certain time to resubmit your grades to get them up so you can like fill out all the criteria. That was the only class I was failing because I did not like getting up and talking in front of people, so I failed. And this teacher did not submit my revised grade till a minute after the grades were due. I was sitting on her floor next to her desk, literally on my knees crying, begging her to submit it so I could still walk for graduation, because walking for graduation was supposed to be my big, screw all you guys. I made it through the bullying. I made it through school. I got accepted into college, even though I didn't go because my seizures were too much and I had to drop. It was too much. But that was supposed to be my big moment. Yeah. She took that away from me. So fast forward a couple years after graduation, I was managing at a retail store, and she came in.
No.
And
did you push her like the other kid? Because I would have condoned that.
No, so she came in because she wanted to return a pair of shoes that she got for like her grandson or something, but they were on clearance. So store policies, you can't get cash back. You can't get a return on clearance prices. All sales are final. We can give you store credit or you can exchange it. And she got all sorts of bent out of shape. And she was like, obviously I'm sitting so I can't do it, but she's like, can I talk to your manager? I need to speak to your manager. And I was the manager. I was like, oh yeah, hold on 1 second. And then I just turned around real fast and I was like, hi, my name is Anna. I'm the manager. How can I help you? And she just grabbed the shoes and stormed out of the store. And I was just like,
yeah, that's right. You know what? Fucking take that win.
So like, so in hindsight, like, it's whatever.
Enjoy your stupid shoes.
Right. So it's like in hindsight, it's like, you know, looking back at it now, like, yeah, it sucked in the moment. Like I said, that was terrible for me. Like not being able to walk. Like it sucked. But it's like, you know what? Screw it. Yeah. It is what it is now. Like, can't dwell on it. Can't change it.
Yeah.
But
what would you say, like, are the things that, as a whole, that we need to, I mean, that's a very large question, but like things to kind of, because I'm hearing now, especially like issues with teachers, from the communications to PE to then obviously students and stuff. What do you think we can do for our schools to kind of prevent stuff like this from happening? And more importantly, make people aware of what accommodations are needed and what epilepsy, entails.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like a lot of people don't know too much about epilepsy. People who aren't involved in the community or know someone don't, they think a seizure, they think a tonic-clonic seizure, what they see on TV. They don't understand that it can be absence seizures or focal seizures. They don't understand all the other like signs. So like for like us, again, we travel, we teach seizure first aid to schools and we teach seizure first aid. And that's something I think is super huge.
I can't believe it's not fucking mandated.
It should be. It absolutely should be.
I can't believe it's like, we travel around to do this. Like, it's like, are you fucking serious? How is this not
a mandatory?
You learn about a fire drill. You learn stop, drop, and roll, but you don't
learn seizures, right?
You learn CPR, but person's way more likely to have a seizure. I just don't. Sorry, now I'm getting a little angry.
No, and that's the thing. We should. It's not that we should be angry, but like that's what drives us for this action. This is what's going to drive us to raising more awareness. So like especially in schools, like I've taken like from my experiences, like these teachers like need to know seizure first aid. The students, these parents need to be, you know what, if your kid is bullying someone with epilepsy, with seizures, and school calls says, hey, your son or daughter, like put a strobe light in front of this kid's face. What would happen if that kid would have had a seizure? What would happen? That parent needs to sit down with their kid. Like, I don't tell people how to parent or anything, but like teach your kids how to do better. Like, I know bullying is always going to be around. It's always been around, and that's unfortunately not going to change. No matter how much the schools we want to say, no bullying, you're going to get in trouble if you bully. It happens, and people don't get in trouble for it. I experienced that firsthand. Like, so it's just being an advocate for yourself, as hard as it is, but these schools, teachers, parents, that's why like our connect groups, for instance, that we have, they're open for anybody, all ages. You don't have to have an epilepsy diagnosis to come with it, because we want the community to come in and learn. We want people to come and learn and understand what epilepsy is and hear people's stories with epilepsy. Or there's just so much that can be done. It's just needing those people to help make it happen. Yep. That's part of my community outreach is, hey, so I run their ambassador program. We have our wonderful ambassador program. We have applicants from all over the state, and I work with them for advocacy. They can be parents. They could be in school. They're people that help us spread and raise that awareness, because we can only do so much and reach so many people. And, these people know these people, and those people know these people and these people. And it just turns into this big web that can be opened up to so many possibilities and potential stuff. So that's why, expanding our groups, expanding everything we do, and reaching as many people as possible is so important to help prevent stuff like this. It's like I said, we're always going to be in a world that it's unfortunately always going to exist, but we can at least do something to try to make it easier and like prevent it. And knowledge is power, and that's like advocacy and knowledge. It's all we can do and keep doing.
I am so glad that this is your job.
You
are so like, you're just so and like knowledgeable and emotionally aware and self-aware, and like have all like, I feel like I'm sitting with Oprah right now, like just like dropping truth bombs, and I'm just like, oh, this is so lovely.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming on to talk about something that like you said, like, it's going to a darker place of memories. And I really appreciate you sharing that again, because like what you do is for the greater good.
Yeah.
And right here, and then for your livelihood. And I just want you to know how appreciated you are.
Thank you.
And before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you 3 questions that have nothing to do with what we just talked about.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely. See, you've got all the right phrases. I just need like an Anna dictionary, because like you've got all these little things that I'm like, I need to steal that. Okay, number 1. What's your favorite color?
Purple, obviously. Oh. But that was before my epilepsy.
Okay, you're the first guest that has said purple.
Really?
Yes.
Purple and black are like my 2 favorite colors. Have been. But if I'm feeling like spunky, sometimes pink. Like I've been on a pink vibe lately.
Hey. Well, pink and black are fun to go together.
I think like my favorite like color combination with black is probably like green, like lime green, like slime green. I don't know what it is about like the green and the black together. It's always been my favorite.
Kind of like Billie Eilish's hair.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Number 2, what's like your favorite movie or TV show that's like a go-to for you?
Oh, The Office.
Yeah.
The Office for TV. The Office for TV. And like my comfort movie is always going to be like The Lost Boys.
Oh.
Probably The Lost Boys is always my good like.
I haven't seen it. I was like, oh, like I don't even. So bad with movies. I don't
You've never seen The Lost Boys?
No, I don't even know what it is. I'm the worst.
80s vampire movie. It's great.
Nice.
It's great.
Okay.
And I collect VHS tapes and stuff too, so I still like have like an old VHS player. No, you cool.
like I collect VHS. Like that's like the stuff like when people were like, I collect records, like 15 years ago, and now like everyone has a record player.
Yep.
I feel like that's what you are, girl.
I definitely have vinyl and stuff too.
Yeah, nice. Of course you do.
Yep.
And then last question, number 3. What does it mean to you to be a friend?
To be a friend to like other people, or like
just what does it mean to you?
I think friends are very important, and I definitely always go above and beyond to make sure people know that they have someone on their side. All my friends know that I'm there for them no matter what. The drop of a call, you call me at 2 a.m, you have something going on, I'm going to be that person that answers, because I didn't have too much of that growing up. Like I said, I had my couple people, but now I'm always a like person for people. Like I will be, if you need me, I will be the person to be there. I will be your advocate. I will be whatever you need. Like, 'cause I very strongly believe in what goes around comes around, and you treat people the way you want to be treated. That's been, they've been telling us, and that's something going back to the bullying. I always told people, like, you treat people the way you want to be treated. And they've been teaching us that since we were in super little, since we were tiny.
Right.
So I
Just to
just,
stick more.
yeah. Yep. But I love being there for my people and being supportive, because they do the same for me. And
Thank you so much, Anna. I really appreciate this conversation. You're the fucking best.
Thanks for you. Thanks for having me. I'm super happy we finally got to do this.
I know. Me too.